In the last video, we began to talk about the AND and OR functions when using multiple search facets in the advanced search. Here we have the last example that we talked about, showing the AND function where we've searched for sites in the country of Libya and which have an interpretation of cemetery, and we could switch this to OR to get sites which have been identified in the country of Libya or have an interpretation of cemetery in any country. The OR function is particularly useful when you want to search for multiple terms in the same field. So, for example, I might want to search for all sites within the country of Libya or Tunisia. So in order to do that, I'm going to remove this search box. And I'm going to find the geography card again and add another instance of the geography card. So you will notice that it appears first here where we already have our search for Libya, and then an identical card appears below. So if I want to search for Libya or Tunisia, I can type in Tunisia into the country field, and you will notice that the default I get 0 records. That's because the AND option is chosen, and this is because it is searching for sites that have both Libya and Tunisia identified as their country. Unsurprisingly, there are none. However, if we search this to OR, this will bring me the results of any sites that have Libya or Tunisia identified as the country. And you can see here we now have results of 16,852. You can add multiple search facets and combine the AND and OR functions to produce complex search results. However, when combining search facets and using different combinations of AND and OR, the way that you group your terms and the order you enter them is very important. In general, you should remember the following. The AND function joins terms together into groups. The OR function separates those terms or groups. The AND function is stronger than the OR function, so any terms in cards linked by AND will take precedence over any linked by an OR. Any search facets that are joined by an AND will be grouped together. Any terms or groups of terms will be separated by an OR. So, for example, we can set up some different types of searches. I'm going to remove this one here. And for example, if I want to search for sites in Libya that have an interpretation of amphitheater, so we first have Libya and amphitheater. But then I might want to search for sites also in Tunisia which have an interpretation of Theatre Odeon. So to this, I would add another geography search facet. And change the country term to Tunisia. And make sure to change the search facet to OR. Then add another site interpretation search facet and search for my desired term of Theatre Odeon. Now you can see we have a search setup that searches for sites that are in Libya and have an interpretation of amphitheater, or sites in Tunisia that have an interpretation of Theatre Odeon. and you can see that we have 7 search results. If we were to change some of the and or options here and change the order of our search terms, so for example, if I remove the Tunisia search term, now we have sites in Libya that have an interpretation of amphitheater and also an interpretation of theater Odeon. So this means that all 3 search terms must be true within each of the records. So you can see here that we have only 2 search results in Libya, and these are sites, Sabratha and Leptis Magna, which have both a theater and an amphitheater. If I added the term Tunisia again to the end of this and find the geography card again, the search facet, change it to, or well, if I leave it at and choose Tunisia, you will see that our search results go down to 0. However, if I switch this to or, you will now see that we have over 4,000 results. And this is because this group of 3, we have our 2 search results at the top still, Sabratha and Leptis Magna, which are the search results for Libya and amphitheater and theater Odeon. But then we have a separate group of search results, or any sites, no matter what their interpretation, in Tunisia, and that is the rest of these results. So you can see how it is very important to make sure that you have the order and groupings right when you're doing an advanced search. This is very important to understand because of the following type of example. I'm going to clear this. So if you wanted to search for all the sites in Jordan or Palestine, which date to the Islamic early or Islamic middle periods, you might initially try to set up the search terms like this. You might say, I want all the sites in Jordan or Palestine which date to the Islamic early, so and date to the Islamic early, so I'm going to choose Islamic early, and for Levant Arabia, and another cultural subperiod of Islamic middle for Levant Arabia. So again, you have set up a search thinking that you want to search for sites in Jordan or Palestine and which date to the Islamic early or Islamic middle periods. However, because the AND function is stronger, what you've actually returned in this 10,000 results is a result of all sites in Jordan, no matter what their date, sites in Palestine and which are Islamic early in date. So these 2 sites are joined, or sorry, these 2 search facets are joined. And finally, a cultural results for the cultural subperiod of Islamic middle, no matter what country, so not just in Jordan or Palestine, but anywhere that has this cultural subperiod. To properly conduct this search, you must actually set it up in the following way. So I'm going to remove all of these except for Jordan to set it up properly. So first you would need to combine the terms Jordan and Islamic early, and then you need to add Jordan again with an or, and combine that with Islamic middle. So here, so far, we have set up these sites, or the search for Jordan and Islamic early, or Jordan and Islamic middle. Then you need to repeat this again for Palestine. So we go back to geography, change this to or, search for Palestine, cultural subperiod of Islamic early, and make sure that Palestine and Islamic early are joined by an and then repeat that for Palestine and Islamic middle. So we go back to geography again, choose Palestine for our country and make sure we've switched to or, and then finally add our cultural subperiod of Islamic middle. So finally, we can now see that we have far fewer search results than we did when we set it up the wrong way. Now we have approximately 1,580 sites that have returned in our search results. And this now has returned any results in either Jordan or Palestine which have either Islamic early or Islamic middle cultural periods indicated. So we have Jordan and Islamic early, or Jordan and Islamic middle, or Palestine, Islamic early, or Palestine and Islamic middle. We will go through a few more examples in another video.